Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I'm the host of this podcast, and yes, we are your number one podcast for bringing you stories around death, dying, and grief, all the messiness that comes in between it, with some amazing people out here changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, before I bring on my guest, I would like to say that this is a live stream. So if you have any questions for either myself or my guest, please put them in the comment section and we'll be sure to get to them as we go. One other thing, I have to mention this. This is for educational purposes only. Now, without further ado, guys, help me welcome my next guest, Janelle Martin, to the show. Janelle, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for being on the show. We was having a blast before we got up here, right? Just
Yeah.
laughing and carrying on. And now look at us. We up here. So now, before we get started, Janelle, introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. Well, I'm Janelle Martin. I live just north of Houston, Texas. I'm a mother of two children and a business owner. My business is called The Mind Connection, and I am a holistic mental health practitioner. Offer counseling, microcurrent neurofeedback, trauma therapy, and natural health store. We tend to get people off medications and help them not to have to take them and still be very healthy and functional by actually healing the brain. So that's my life's work, but it came to me through the story of what I've gone through with my children, particularly my daughter, who experienced addiction to drugs and alcohol when she was in high school. And we walked through that journey as a parent and a child together into recovery. And through that experience, my life was completely changed. And here I am now, giving back to whoever I can touch with the knowledge and experience that I've been given.
Well, I tell you, we've talked about it, and you and your daughter, you guys are out here doing some amazing things to see the work that you guys are doing. And you being a mother and watching your daughter go through that and your daughter having to experience that and having such a great mother in her corner to support her, but also go through it with her as well. That's a huge thing. So let's talk about that journey for a little bit, right? What was it like? Um, what was your journey like going through all of that, leading up to where you are today, you and your daughter?
First thing I would say was terrifying. Um, I didn't know what was happening to her for quite some time. I think it started maybe even a year before I really clued into something is going on with her, and it stemmed from some really difficult family issues that we had. She had endured growing up since about the age of 4. So her dad her dad made it his life's mission after we divorced when she was 3 to try to destroy my life, but he wanted to do it, or he did it through my children, or tried to do it through my children. So he really worked on them to undermine me as a parent. He moved out of state too, so he wasn't present and didn't co-parent with me, but undermined everything we did, everything I did, everything I said, told them all kinds of things about me, tried to get them to hate my husband, their stepdad, when he came into the picture. It was really chaotic for all of us. And I have my son, who is 2 years older than my daughter, really wanted his dad's love, affection, and approval. So he bought in, and we have been estranged now for 8 years, 9 years, 9 years. So that is very painful. And my daughter coped by turning to drugs and alcohol in high school. She became the forgotten child. She didn't buy into dad's um, vitriol against me, although it confused her very much. She didn't think anyone loved her because she just felt like there was this push pull all the time between her parents, and she just never knew who to believe and what to do about it. And her brother was angry at her for not wanting to go live with dad, and there was this whole campaign and custody suit when he turned 15 and she was 13. But dad didn't really want her. He wanted his son, my son. And she was collateral damage, and she knew it. And she just was treated horrifically by them. And when they lost their the suit, then they turned on her, like it was her fault, that she was the enemy, and that was horrific. So the atmosphere in our home was just constant tension, constant tension. Me trying to be the peacemaker between my son, my husband, figure out, how to support my daughter who just felt like lost in everything. And I detail a lot of that in the book as well. Losing her, finding us. That just came out. So there's a lot going on, and a lot that a young girl, and really probably any child, would struggle to deal with. And when she was at a party or somewhere and offered drugs, she said, "Why not?" She didn't want to live anymore. She wasn't happy, and I didn't know any of this. So the drugs kind of took it all away for her. And so it took me, while I've never used drugs in my life. I've never been around it. I've always been very adamant. I did drink alcohol, very social drinker. So it wasn't ever something I thought could happen at all to my kids or anyone. Like it happens to other people. It doesn't happen to us. And so it just wasn't on my radar until I was clued in by a friend of hers in school, who it really ticked off my daughter that this girl contacted me and sent me an actual photo of my daughter using drugs. Like, if that doesn't make it real for you, nothing else will as a parent. And I don't know what really came over me at that point. I just could not even believe that this is what was happening. And we thought that we dealt with it. And of course she lied, and she was still using, and I caught her a second time. And then I kicked her out because I said, I can't do this. She was in the middle of her senior year. So I sent her to live with her dad, of all things, of all people. There wasn't anybody else. That seemed like the only choice. And it also felt like I just handed over both of my children to Satan almost. But so she had already had a trip planned there. And I just told her, pack everything you've got and you can get on the plane and you're not coming home. And so that's where she went. And within about 3 months, we knew that we were in crisis. She cut off all her hair. She quit going to school. He had to call the cops a couple of times. There was altercations. There was all kinds of things going on there, but I wasn't clued in until the very end. So I was told everything was great. Of course, he was fixing all of my mistakes with her when she got there, because I was the bad parent. And so when the bottom fell out of everything, we had to find help. And I wasn't allowing her home because there was clearly problems that I couldn't deal with or fix. And we found her treatment. And throughout that time, it was just terrifying. I was afraid of everything. I didn't know anything about this world or this community or what it even meant. I mean, I just didn't know. So, I'm up late at night Googling treatment options for an adolescent teenager who, I think at the time I thought, oh, she's probably just using pot. That's all. Like, it's not really that serious, but she's clearly in crisis. So we need to get some help. But it's not really, I didn't believe it was a drug addiction at all. Um, but, through the grace of God and subsequent events, I was led to a particular program in Arizona, which was about 2.5 hours from where she was living with her dad at the time. So not super convenient, but more convenient than sending her really far away. And so she went into treatment, and she was there for 10 months. And that changed my life. Just, first of all, I still didn't really believe she was a drug addict, but she needed the treatment. And I think I needed it probably as much as she did, because there was just so many things that had been going on that I had not addressed or not been able to address, or maybe didn't even know. And it affected our relationship so deeply that, I mean, she was angry at me. She was angry at everyone, including me, even though I felt like I had been trying to just do the right things the whole time. Just if I don't give it my energy, maybe it won't be a thing. And it was always a thing. It was always there. The tension was always there. The stuff that was going on behind the scenes with her dad was always happening, and ignoring it didn't make it go away, and it didn't make it better. And so I dove into recovery with her as a parent, trying to figure out. I needed to know what it meant. I needed to know how what she was learning and how it was going to affect her. And then, and in doing that, I learned that it profoundly affected me at the same time. And we were able to rebuild a relationship kind of from zero. You know, we had to start over. I would go visit her, and and we would just talk, and we started to put this puzzle together. I would bring pieces and she would bring pieces, and we started to kind of fit things together, and we both saw each other differently in those moments. And it took a long time. It took, you know, she was there 10 months. I would go visit on the weekends that I could, and I went 3 or 4 times. And each time just seemed like we got closer and closer. And but it didn't stop there, you know, because sobriety is something that this is a lifelong journey. This isn't something that, okay, she's not using right now, so everything's good. That, yeah, kind of in that moment it's good, but what's tomorrow bring? And 6 months from now, what does that look like? And a year from now? And how do we navigate all of these things and support her in staying sober? And because if she doesn't want to be sober, she's not going to be sober. I,
Exactly.
I don't have control over that. And the last thing I want is for my daughter to be using drugs, because clearly that's a spiral to death very easily. And it is for a lot of people. And so we walked through this, and then there was a relapse when she moved home. And that was just absolutely horrific. She had almost a year sober, and then she relapsed. And that's a common thing. But it is probably even more terrifying when it happens after you think that you've gone through the fire and you've come out and you think everything's fixed. And then you go back down into the flames again, and you think, how, what are we doing wrong? How is this happening? And and it happens because, she hadn't bought in yet, or not fully, or something was going on with her. And so I learned a lot with her. She was very gracious with me too, because I was one of those panicked parents for a lot of that time, always worried about what she was doing, who she was with, how come I hadn't heard from her. Um, you've been out too long, you must be using, very suspicious, not trusting. Um, I mean, I think if you're a parent in that situation, we all can um, relate to those feelings. But that's our feelings. That's my own fears, and I'm projecting those on my kid, on my daughter. And some of it maybe it was legit. She wasn't always doing the right things, um, but eventually we got to a point where I could let go, and she could live her life, and I could be okay with whatever it was that she decided to do with it. And that's where I think our relationship really blossomed, is when I let go.
Said a lot of things there.
I did.
No, which is totally fine. Because the last statement that you made, where you said you projecting a lot of your fears onto her, I do see that a lot. I do. The kid could, kids are going to be kids,
Yep.
and no one wants to be hooked on drugs. Now, I have met some drug fiends, right? So there's a difference between a drug addict and drug fiends. Drug fiends, they want to be on the drugs, right? That's what they do. They go out to make the money. They go get the drugs because that's what they want to do. A drug addict is something. It's a trauma based response that they're trying to escape the reality.
Yes.
And a lot of times when they do get sober, there's trust that's been broken. There's the overparenting, the overprotectiveness of that parenting. And so when what we don't understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, please, by all means. But again, I'm just speaking from a place where I've seen these things before, and it may be a common thing. But what I found is that parents who have been hurt by their children or by someone close to them, they often will say, if that person is clean, in the back of their mind is going, I need to stop you from hurting me again. So I'm going to tell you what you're doing. Even if you're not doing it, I'm right and you're wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And so then in turn, it's just like, and I'm going to do a bit of a comparison here. It's just like somebody who's grieving, because they go both hand in hand. You can tell a person that they're broken, and that person may not even have thought about that. Or you may, tell it, you may mention trigger warning when I say this to everybody there. You may say, oh, as long as you're not considering suicide. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now that's embedded in and I'm speaking from my own experience when I say this now. I'm not going to compare this to anyone else. I'm speaking from my own experience. I had someone, when I went through one of my major losses, I had people come and say, well, we just wanted to make sure you wasn't thinking about doing harm to yourself. I hadn't even thought about it. And then you hear that 2 or 3 times. Now I'm thinking about it. Like, I hadn't thought about that before, but you mean that I can have an escape? I can have a way out of this pain? Maybe I should do it. I mean, hell, you already expect me to do it anyway. Why not? I'm not hurting anyone.
Right.
I'm not hurting anyone. You already expect me to do it anyway. So I might as well live up to your expectations. So now your mindset is not thinking about, not doing it. Now you're thinking about, I wonder what the world would be like if I wasn't in it. Type thing. Mm-hmm. It's a sad place to be, but it's the truest, honest place that you can be. Now, as a and I want to get your thoughts on that. Do you think that projection is, can be a huge influence in an individual changing the way they think about things? Just from what I've said, I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, and I am a recovery coach, but I can't say, I can't speak from a professional place on that. Only personal experience. So, in your own thoughts, what do you think about that? To people who do that, and how do we redirect the way that we speak to those individuals?
I think that's really important. And I think, we call it a family disease for a reason, because it affects everyone in the family. And if it's a parent-child relationship, that is a unique bond. It's still different than, a spouse or a friend or something like that, a sister or brother. You don't divorce your child. You're not going to, typically, a parent struggles immensely to cut off a child. It's the child cutting off the parent that would happen more often for various reasons. But in dealing with a child in addiction, it matters how we react and relate with them, because the fear and the doubt and the not trusting, it comes from a place of, yeah, you probably are justified in some of that, because usually if somebody's using drugs, I know from my experience, my daughter, she wasn't really a great person when she was high and when she was using and she was in that. She was lying, she was stealing, she was doing all kinds of things. So yeah, that's super hurtful and it makes you not trust someone. But if you really want to change somebody's life, you've got to support them in it. You've got to really change your mindset, kind of try to leave some of that hurt and stuff behind, work on it on your own with a therapist or something. You've got to let that go, because the task at hand is to be a cheerleader and supporter for your child who's trying to navigate sobriety and moving forward with their life. But if you're constantly bringing them down, you're telling them you don't think that they can do it and they don't have the confidence to move forward. So it's our job to give them that confidence and give them that, I know you can do it. I believe in you. And they're not going to get it right all the time. I'm not saying that's going to change someone's life completely, but it certainly helps more than just beating them down, because they're already beating themselves up anyway. They're not using drugs because they're happy people and happy with themselves. They're using because they already feel useless and worthless, and they hate themselves and they hate what they're doing, and they know that they're hurting their loved ones. They already know that. So we don't have to beat them over the head with it constantly. It's not productive.
I want to talk about that a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Because I think in some cases they don't know that they're hurting their loved ones, and
Well, if
the
they're dumb,
reason,
they don't. True.
well, think about it this way, right? So when we think about the mind of someone who's addicted to drugs, it's normally because they're trying to cover up trauma. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to cover up or escape the reality that they're in. That's a more personable, individual journey, right? And it has nothing to do with anyone else. They've already reached out for help. They've already said, "Hey, I'm struggling right now." And a lot of times when they're getting blown off, especially now you said a lot of things, and please, let me know what you think about this. But you mentioned the fact of your ex-husband, right? And something tells me he's a narcissist,
Yes.
right? And so the son is attracted to that, right? Because sons are attracted to their fathers. So the son is already has those narcissistic tendencies. Then you have the daughter, more feminine, more softer. She could be an easy punching bag. I mean, she's watching mom go through this as well. She doesn't know how to deal with this. So now she's getting bombarded by dad and brother, because now brother was her brother older. So yeah,
Yes.
she's
2 years.
looking up.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you're looking at the role model, right? And she doesn't understand why her older brother is coming down on her and saying, "Why aren't you doing this, that, another?" Right? And
Right.
now she's watching mom having to deal with this, and doing the right things, but she doesn't understand it because she's hurt. Because a father is a daughter's first love. Her older brother is her best friend. It doesn't matter anything else outside of there, because behind closed doors, I'm talking to my little sister. That's my best friend. That's my baby girl. That's my heart.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Like there's a relationship there. Always have been. And so now that relationship is gone. So she's not only grieving that, she's grieving the loss of her father, the person that's supposed to teach her how to be a young lady, right? What to look for in a young man, but he's a narcissist. So everything that he's doing is reflecting a personal vendetta against you. So she's learning how to be treated from him, and the
Yep.
son is following suit, right?
Yep.
Now, so now when she gets into these drugs and everything, it starts off, and this time I'm speaking from my own personal experience. It starts off with one drink. You feel pretty good because you got some relief. And then the next time you may do, I may want one or two drinks, right? Because now I'm going to do it socially. It's socially acceptable for me to have one or two drinks, maybe three. I'm not too drunk, but I'm getting used to the alcohol. You see what I'm saying? I'm getting
Yep.
used to it. But the pain is numb. I don't have to deal with the outside world. I'm a little bit in a better place.
Yep.
At least I think so.
Yep.
Next thing you know, I'm drinking a 6 pack.
Hmm.
That's not enough. I got to go get a 12 pack. Then the case comes. So now let's think about the addictive mind, right? It's
Yeah.
being hijacked by something. That chemical imbalance is starting to take over. And now you're starting to get the sensation of no worries,
Hmm.
no pain. I can escape the reality. I can create my own reality within this. But I could be wrong too, right? And but these are just things that I put together, and makes sense.
No,
But
it's
again,
right. Mm-hmm.
I've never been, I've been on the receiving end of watching friends go through it, but most of my friends, they overdose and everything. And so, but I watched them go through it. I've never been much on drugs or anything like that. My thing was alcohol, but once I quit alcohol, I was like, it's a whole new world, like Aladdin. It's a whole new world.
It is.
And I wanted to explore and things like that. But now, what are your thoughts on that, right? Because I think we can unpack a lot of that. So parents that are out there that may have children, or maybe a friend who has someone who's a drug addict or something like that, maybe we can give them some healthy tips to not add to it, like not to keep projecting onto them, but maybe hold that space for them and maybe be a better be a better accomplice in their journey of recovery, right?
100%.
Learning the do's and don'ts and how to speak to one another. What, what are your thoughts?
I love that. I think you described it very well. But the problem comes in when the drugs take hold, and I mean, they're not letting go of the drugs because they can't physically, because they're addicted, and this becomes a way of life for them, and their whole life is crashing around them and everything around the family as well. And so to be able to address what the problem is, which is the drugs is a problem, yes, but the real problem is the reason they started using drugs.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
but we can't get to that if we're still getting high. So we've got to get them off the substances so we can really address the heart of the problem. And that's where treatment comes in. And that's where families can really help their children, really anybody who's in this, who's experiencing this, but going for treatment early as possible. It doesn't always work across the board. I'm not saying that works for everyone all the time, but the sooner you can start the treatment process to get them sober, the sooner you can get to the root of the problem, because you
Okay.
can't do it the other way around. So the average family, the average person, they're in their addiction 10 years before they get treatment, before they get help, because a lot of times the families are in denial. The parents are in denial. They don't want to actually believe that it's a big enough issue. And so you're wasting 10 years of that person's life by not taking the bull by the horns as soon as you know it's a problem, like really know. They're giving you signs. You're going to know your child they need help, that they're grasping for
Yeah.
help. And when you have more power before they turn 18 about getting them into a program as their parent, as a minor.
Yeah.
So if you can do it early, you've got a better chance at saving their life and not having them waste 10 plus years in an addicted state, with everyone being affected in very negative ways. I've seen it stress parents out. I've seen how
Yeah.
problems happen. I mean, just, it's horrific what it does to an entire family. So getting help early, and we've got to get rid of the drugs and alcohol so we can get to the problem.
It's very true.
Yeah.
I want to add to that because you said something and that you're absolutely right. And I just saw a different. I saw something that maybe sometimes people may miss as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, and again, I'm going to speak from my own experience and some of the things that I've seen. A lot of times it's hard for people to ask for help. I mean, I love the fact that we want to get them into treatment early as possible. And you're right, sometimes that don't work. And here's a thought. I don't think it works because they haven't hit their version of rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, because just like anything that you do in life, even in grief, even when you're suffering, right? The only time that you would ask for help is when you have nowhere else to go.
100%.
And I'm a firm believer.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer in letting the person hit their version of rock bottom. I
Yep.
will not interfere. I had somebody tell me one time, man, I saw my friend going through this and I had to take the shovel away because he was digging the hole. I said, no, get the shovel back to him. He goes, what do you mean? I said, because if you take it away, only thing he's going to do, he's going to pretend to do what you want him to do because he's going to want you to leave him alone.
Yep.
But at the next opportunity, he's not done. He's going to go back and do it again. And you know what's going to happen? He's either going to overdose or he's going to kill himself. Either which way it goes, as a friend, this is what you have to expect. But he's not going to honestly ask for help until he hits one of those.
Yep.
You know, and the one we don't want to lose any more people to addiction.
No, we raise the bottom.
Crash and burn. Yeah, I want you to hit your version of rock bottom. I want you to like boom.
As parents, we can raise it because pain is the biggest motivator for change. If it isn't painful enough for them, they're not going to change. You've got to make it painful and you've got to do the hard things. I know that sounds so counterintuitive as a parent.
It doesn't.
But it does, because you're supposed to love and care for your child, and I get it. But you also want them to live.
But okay, well, I love that, right? I love that, and I'm not going to take away from that. I just want to add to what you're saying. What if loving them is allowing them to go out there and do it?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Like we don't want to see our children hurt whatsoever.
No.
But now, how many of us went out there and did the same thing? I mean, you've never had to do that, but you know somebody who went out there and did that, right? So as children, you know what I'm saying? Knowledge is key.
Yeah.
Wisdom is power. In order to learn the other side of it, sometimes you have to experience it. You're gonna have to be like the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Right, you're gonna have to stand underneath that anvil while you chasing that road runner. That anvil crack you upside the head. You mess around with a knot that big upside your head, like things like that, right? But so when we look at that analogy, look, I don't want any family to ever have to experience anything like that, but just because I don't want it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I think most of it is preparing yourself for the journey ahead, right? Are you strong enough to listen to what's about to happen? As you say, and I want to fast forward a little bit from what else you said. When you guys started putting the pieces together, you realize, because now you see the other side of it, right? It's not all about mom. It's not all about the dad, but it is, right?
Yep.
Now you can see the little girl that was hidden, the scared one, the one that was crying all the time, the one that didn't know what to do with themselves because they don't know the world that they're trying to navigate in, right? And so now the parent get to see the world through the child's eyes. That changes everything.
Everything.
The friend gets to see the world through the eyes of their friend as an addict and what they've gone through, the struggle, the mental health, the thoughts of wanting to take their lives, the thought of wanting more. And you know what never comes up? The fact of that they never thought that they were hurting you because they were doing it to themselves.
Yeah. That's
See what I mean? Like they're not thinking about this. See, you're looking at the opposite end, but you're not thinking about. They're not saying that they hurt you. They're thinking to themselves, "I wasn't hurting nobody. If anything, I was hurting me." And you're thinking to yourself, like, "Did you not know that you hurt me too?" So they're not saying that.
Her voice is in this book. It is her and me, and she says that this isn't her. I'm not hurting anyone else. It's me.
Exactly.
I don't know why anybody else has a problem with this because this is about me.
This is about me.
That's what she
See
says.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's what I mean. When when you said no, they know that they don't.
No.
They don't. When I was an alcoholic out there on the street, right? Being homeless, I didn't go home. I didn't run home. I went through it. There was something about the rawness of it. I said, I got myself into this. I'll get myself out of it. But I have a problem. I know that I'm alcoholic. I drink 22 hours out of the day. What are you talking about? But you know what? I didn't care because I didn't have to see my sister's face. I didn't have to see my mom and my dad's face. They didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't know that they cared about what I was doing, what was going on with me. I didn't know that my aunties cared about their nephew, or my uncles cared about their nephew, or my cousins was worried about what I was going through out there on the streets. See, they knew different versions of me. They knew the gangbanger, they knew the drug dealer, right? They knew the inmate, but they didn't see the murders. They didn't see the extent of the homelessness. So when I started drinking, I started thinking to myself, I'm not hurting anybody,
Yeah.
but I need this in order to survive this, because I can't be running around be emotional out here in the streets, because if I am, I'm going to get killed. And I have to be okay with this. You see what I'm saying? I became a functioning alcoholic, and my mindset was no one cares anyway, right? I've been alone. Who am I supposed to trust? I got nobody out here. It's just me. Yeah, you may think that the gangs are your family. They're not. Those will be the same ones that try to kill you. This is the way I lived. So the alcohol, luckily I didn't do other things.
Hmm.
I had plenty of them too, but it just wasn't me. Wasn't going to go stick a needle in my arm. Didn't want that. Definitely didn't want to do crack or cocaine. That definitely wasn't me. I didn't want to do that. You know that and meth, or I didn't want to do that stuff. Right? I smoked a little pot, but I drank a lot of alcohol. So when I looked at the world, it was like the world makes sense to me this way, because I don't care. I don't care what happens to me. I'm not hurting anybody. So if I drink myself, now here's where the mindset really really gets tricky. Right? Where you tell yourself, if I die because I drink too much, who's going to care about me? I'm just another black man in society. When a child does it, they go, who's going to care about me? They've already thrown me out with the trash. So why would it matter if I'm not here anymore? So this is where the boundaries get pushed a lot more. Now again, Janelle, I'm only speaking from my perspective when I say this, right? From the things that I have experienced. And I had to really think about this, because when I quit drinking, I told myself I knew I had a problem. My son was born. I said, you know what? I don't want him to think that this is okay because I'm doing it. I want him to make up his own mind. And if this is what he chooses to do, he would do it after he's 21. Because in my household, you're not doing it. And if you do, I'm going to make you pay for it. You know, if we're digging holes in 100-degree heat, we're going to go out there and dig some more holes in negative-degree temperatures. Okay. Either which way it goes, every time you come in here, I got something for you. Right. You're going to learn. I expect you to mess up, because I did my fair share myself. So I'm not going to judge you, but I will be here to help guide you. Right. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can catch it before it becomes too bad.
And you're not going to live his life for him either, right?
Exactly. I can't live your life for you.
No.
I need you to make your own mistakes, because I need you to learn a couple of things in the world. I need you to learn how to bounce back.
Yes.
I need you to make some better decisions in your life. I can't make these decisions for you. I
Right.
can build the platform for you. I can't tell you everything that I've done, because I don't want you to model your life behind what I've done. This is your life. This is your world. And I'm just here to make sure that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do to make sure your world is safe. So as a father, my job is to provide and protect for you. But also as a father, it's my job to allow you to go out there and make your own decisions.
100%.
And love.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that love got to be hard,
Yes. It
right?
is hard. When my daughter relapsed, by then she was 18 and a half. And it was a tremendous shock, as I said earlier. But what I had learned through all of my recovery work that prior year was that it was her life. She needed to make her own decisions. And if the choice, I mean, she came to me and told me, I've relapsed. I don't know if I want to be sober, but I respect you. Your rule has always been no drugs anywhere near the house or the property. So I'm leaving. And that was her choice. And there really wasn't much of a discussion because she'd made up her mind and I knew better. There wasn't like, I wasn't going to beg her. I wanted to. I think I was kind of speechless too because I was shocked that here we were again. But but my response was, take your dog with you. It's your responsibility. And I went downstairs and I went to bed while she packed up and left. And you have to let them go because if it's my decision for her to be sober, she's never going to decide that that's really what she.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be her decision to be sober. And that was probably the longest. I mean, she was gone about a month and I don't know where she was. She didn't have any money. She had no job. She had a car and a dog and whatever she took with her. And that was it. And we were smart and we put that car in her name as soon as we could. I think she did her residential treatment. And then before we gave the car back to her, for outpatient and all of that, we put it in her name because we wanted no liability with any of it. So that car was hers and she took it. And the only contact that I made with her during that time was an occasional text message, or even a Snapchat of just telling her I loved her. And that was it. And she would respond, not usually right away, but she would respond in a day or two or whatever and kind of say the same thing. And there was never a conversation. I didn't ask her, are you done yet? Or why are you still doing? Nothing. Let her go.
Yeah.
Let her figure it out. And she did.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said that because the relationship that you have with your daughter now, I think it's fantastic. It's amazing the work that you guys are doing. When did you guys come together? And what made you decide to begin to do the work that you're doing now?
So after the relapse that I just talked about, we really rolled up our sleeves and got to work. She had moved here to Texas from Arizona, so she had left all her sober friends and her program there, and she'd never really gotten involved here in anything to help her with her recovery. I think we both almost thought, well, everything's good now. It's been good for a while. It's fine. So we got to work and we started finding resources for her. We went to meetings together even. I went to Al-Anon. I was going to Al-Anon. I was still going to parent meetings. Long distance in Arizona, they had a video conferencing for me, which was so fantastic. Every Thursday night, I went religiously to meetings. And then we started going to meetings together and we ended up just that summer. The relapse happened in February, March. And so that summer, probably June, July, we were at a meeting in Montgomery County, just north of us, and we were asked to speak and share a little bit about our experiences. And she was living at home at that time. She'd come back home after the relapse. So we were together a lot, but there was a long road for her. She hadn't finished high school yet. She didn't have a job. There was a lot. And so we were at this meeting and we talked, and there happened to be somebody there who really should have never been there because he didn't live anywhere near there and his business wasn't anywhere near there. But he happened to show up and he had a nonprofit that was helping people in recovery from addiction. And he came up to me afterwards. He had also lost a son to addiction and overdose and started talking to me about what he was doing to help people in their recovery. And he had discovered this brain healing technology that was really making a difference. And it sounded completely fascinating to me because, like, my previous life, I wanted to be a psychiatrist, like a long time ago. I won't give away my age, but a long, long time ago. That whole medical school thing and it was real expensive. So I kind of gave that up at the time. But so when I heard brain, I was like, oh, what is that? And anyway, I badgered him enough that he hired me and trained me to do the microcurrent neurofeedback that I currently still do. And I just saw how life-changing it was. And I think I trained in August. She would have been about 6 months sober at that time, and he let me treat her for free just a practice. And we saw how amazing it helped her in her recovery. It took away her anxiety. She slept better. Her cravings were gone. Like all of the things that she'd been struggling with were so much better after treating her, and she loved it. And it helped. I do believe, I think we both believe that it propelled her forward in her recovery. Um, I think things would have taken even longer had she not had this therapy. So it just seemed like it propelled her forward. And about, I guess, about 3 years later, she'd gotten her GED, and she'd tried cosmetology school. She graduated, didn't really like it, went back and got her chemical dependency counseling license. And then she had started working, or found another adolescent recovery program that's very similar to the one she attended in Phoenix, the Pathway Program, and here it was called Cornerstone. And they were looking for somebody like her who had some sobriety time and could relate to the kids. And she thrived in that environment. She loved that job and worked with those kids and the parents. And I think she was there about 18 months, and then she kind of just, I don't really know her thought process, but she came to me 3 years ago and said, "Mom, I really think I want to work with you." And I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And she's like, "Yeah, I really want to do what you do." Clearly it helped her. And I said, "Sleep on it, make sure this is what you really want to do, because, I'll have to train you and all of that." And she was sure of it. And it's been the best thing ever working together, and we are best friends now, and we're work colleagues. We're not we don't fight. She brings a younger perspective to a lot of things, and I love her freshness, and she's very smart. I think she's really grown into believing that she's a smart and capable young woman. And I've gotten to witness that firsthand, because she's very good at what she does. She's very good with people. And especially our adolescents and children think she's the greatest thing ever. And, she's relatable. She's one of them, and she's got a lot of life experience that even our adults are impressed with her, because she can talk to you just about anything. Um, and it's just been the greatest gift after everything we've been through. To think that we are working together is, I would have said, there's no way. There's just no way.
You guys are thriving together.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
are thriving together, and that's see the journey, right? And see everything has a strange way of working itself out. It really does. I've been learning that lesson um, within this last week. I've been learning this lesson that sometimes you may have to go through a few hoops, a few ups and downs, but everything, if it's meant to be, everything has a strange way of working itself out. And that's the beautiful part about it. I look at what you guys are doing now, the smile on your face, the way you speak about her, and the way that she speaks about you. It's not even a problem. I know she speaks, but and I look at this and I'm just like, that's what I'm talking about. You went through the mud together. You've had your ups and downs. You hashed it out. It was like y'all was on a battlefield. Y'all had to hash it out.
Yep.
And realized that, man, y'all tired. Y'all tired, like y'all sitting on the ground, like, just stop moving. God, I'm gonna get the last lick. Okay, just stop it.
Yes.
It's like two kids that don't know when to stop it, but y'all tired, y'all just throwing arms. Stop.
Yes.
Let's just go to sleep.
There's something to be said about that, because there is nobody, and I don't think there's anybody else on this planet I can be more real with than her, because we've already bared it all with each other. We've been through it, and we're just, I don't know, we're bonded. We're just bonded. I can't.
This is what makes you who you are, and the gift that you both carry. It complements each other, and it shows.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? It's like the you ever see the necklaces with the hearts on it that you can take apart? That's what it looks like to me. Whenever you guys are together, that heart is back together again.
Yep.
But when you're apart, it's like you both know it, right? She
Yeah.
speaks highly of you. You speak highly of her, and so and you know. And I want people. I want everybody. I wish more parents can have that relationship with their children, right? And to be able to learn and bond like that, and then you wrote a book. What made you decide to write the book?
Well, it's interesting because it's been 5 years in the making. After her relapse, um, I had the idea to write the book, but I wanted to write the book that I wanted to read when I was really desperate for information. I needed to know what this whole drug addiction recovery thing was about. And I really wanted to hear about people's experiences, because you feel so isolated, like you don't know who you can talk to because nobody understands, or you feel like everyone's going to blame you for your child's problems. And some people do blame you for your child's problems. I understand that. But um, so I had the idea to write the book, but I wanted us to write it separately. So I wanted to write for like what my perspective was, and then I wanted her to write hers, and then I wanted to put them together into one book because I had read as many books as I could get my hands on early on, and I usually the book is from the perspective of the person that's been addicted and into recovery, or it's from the parent or the loved one who's writing about their experience. But my question was always with the parent, like, okay, well, what was your kid doing? Or if it's written by the kid, I want to know where the heck were the parents? What was happening?
Mm-hmm.
I needed more. I wanted more information. So that was the book that I really wanted to read and couldn't find. So it was my idea to do that and put it together. And she came to me one day and said she had the same idea as me, completely independently. And so I had already started writing at that point. I started writing my part. And then life happens, and you start to go, well, I'm writing this. I don't really know how to get it published, what's going to happen with it. I don't know. And she was going back to school. She had moved into her own apartment. She was working full time, like, and life kind of got in the way a little bit. And then I came across this publisher, Hope Books Publishing, who I really got an email, I think, and just thought, maybe it's time. And sat on that for a while. And then I signed up with them to write this book or finish it. And I did it. And instead of Reagan actually writing it with me, because she's still in school and she works full time and goes to school full time, she said, I don't have time. So what I did was I wrote my chapters and then I interviewed her and I recorded the interviews with her. And so I transcribed her words into her sections in the book. And so each chapter is my perspective and her perspective all the way through the book. So you get a more complete picture of what our lives were like during that time, what she was going through and what I was going through. And I'll tell you what, doing that, I learned things from her, from interviewing her, that I didn't know before. And I couldn't be more prouder of the book. It really is the book that I wish that I had. And I hope that it touches people. I hope that even people maybe who don't know much about addiction, it reads like a fiction book, I think. And so it could be one of those summer reads where you hopefully get something really valuable from it too, because I guarantee you know somebody who's going through this. I guarantee you do, but they're not talking about it because they're ashamed of it and they're afraid to say something and they're afraid of the judgment. And maybe you can be that person that they don't have to hide behind or hide from, because we all need to feel less alone. It's a very lonely journey.
I think with the conversation that we just had, that opens up
Yeah.
the doors. Now, show people what your book look like.
Yeah. I love it so much.
Loving, losing her, finding us.
Yep.
Perfect title. Just like the butterfly. I was looking at and you got like we was talking about that. I got a cat on my background. You got butterflies in there. Look at that. There it goes.
This
Right?
story's in the book. Yes.
Yeah, and the butterfly that's on the pillow in the back. I'm just looking at it. I was like, okay, I got you. I got you. I got a cat. I got a cat.
Our lives
So
are transformed, and
yeah.
that's really what that's about. The butterfly is the symbol of transformation, and anyone can change. And I mean, if we can change, you can change. Anyone can. Anyone can. It just takes a little work, and it takes maybe doing some really hard stuff.
All right. Well, Janelle, as we wrap up this episode of the Brief, let's talk about it. Guys, like I told you, I got booked back to back, so I got.
Yeah,
Because I could have talked to you forever.
I know.
love talking. I love talking like this. Maybe we do a part two.
Okay.
Whenever you get a chance to, we do a part two. We catch up on what's going on in your life and everything. And maybe you have your daughter with you as well.
That'd
Right?
be fun.
And you know what I'm saying, be able to have her on as well. I would love to. So now with that being said, how can people find you?
You can find me multiple places. So my business website is tmcbrainhealthcenter.com. That's where you'll find out what we do professionally together. And I have an author website that is ourbeautifulrecovery.com. And there you can find my books and a link to order this one. It's for pre-order right now, but it will be out next week. And then I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, both places. The Mind Connection is the business, and Our Beautiful Recovery is the author stuff, the book stuff, and our story. You can reach out to me through either place, email, phone. It's all on there, Messenger, or you can just come and visit us in person.
I love it. I love it
Yeah.
because so, and everybody, Janelle's information is in the YouTube channel. Go there, check her out. Go support that book. If you love these conversations, just think about it. There's more in the book that you guys don't even know about, and a lot more that she knows that we didn't even scratch the surface on. So if you guys enjoyed the conversation, go there and check her out. If you know someone who has a child who's struggling with addiction, please reach out to them. Just we got she's amazing, the work that she does, and she's doing it with her child as well. So now my second question to you, Janelle, would be, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
I would read people's minds.
Oh, I don't know. You're okay with that. I'm good with that. I don't know if I can do that. No, the person's mind is very, very messy. I don't think I want to play that game. I don't know if I want to play that game or not. So now I want to ask one final question to you. If you could leave the audience with something, what would you leave them with?
Love your child. Love your child through whatever they're going through. Be there for them. Treat them like capable humans, because they are, and love them. And you can foster the most amazing relationship with your child if you just treat them like they're real people. Yeah.
About that. For everyone who has been tuning in on all the platforms, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for always supporting the channel. This is your first time tuning in. Do me a favor, as it says down on the bottom, subscribe, like, comment, share. Maybe you know somebody who could benefit from the conversations that we have. If so, please share this along with them. Again, people that are tuning in, podcast serves a lot of purposes. Okay, so if you find somebody up there that you think that you can be a good fit for, after listening to their story, the information is always included in the YouTube channel in the description. Please reach out to them, right? Saying you don't have to walk this walk alone. And there are people out here, as I always say, changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. So trust and be willing to be coached, but most importantly, want to get better, right? With that being said, guys, this is Tony Lynch. We're going to conclude this episode of Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys already know what it is. We got another one coming up tomorrow. Tune in for that one as well. You do daily podcasts, they are live stream, so we get your questions and your comments answered. We got a lot of great things coming up as well, but I'm not going to do it today because I'm running low on time. Janelle, thank you again for being on the show. For everyone else, guys, have a blessed day. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Love you, and thank you for always supporting.